Alright, I think we are finally live. Stupid OBS trying to communicate with YouTube errors, I believe. And my two different YouTube accounts were not playing nicely for whatever reason this morning. Alright. Anywho, we are here to build the Pokornyi GTE Pro V3 wheel. And if you hurry, they are currently, for the next day and 8 hours, they are still on sale. And the link should be in the chat. And it looks like quite a bit of the parts are still showing in stock and discounted. So, and these parts are also linked in the description. But yeah, let's go. Let's get started. Let's take a look and build this thing. Since we have the aluminum enclosure, we can skip a lot of the first part where you have the 3D printed enclosure frame and carbon fiber backplates and things like that. So we get to skip all the heat inserts and things like that because I just chose to go ahead and get their aluminum option versus doing anything else. So first up we have we have 4 encoders. I went ahead and just paid the extra $1 something and had them put the wires on, so no soldering even required. There is 4. They will go, there's 2 in the top and 2 kind of in the side, right by your thumbs. Hopefully everyone had a good Thanksgiving. There's 2. Do the same thing to the other side. Go. Next up are clutches. Clutches are going to go down in the down here in the bottom 2 slots. Couple screws for each one of them. These are M4 by 8s. Careful not to pinch any of the wires. Sliding them, they do have a little bit of movement option. You can kind of slide it. As you can see here, there's a little bit of play that you can slide them and move them just a bit. Start with them on the outermost. Flip it over. And still M4 by 8s for the clutches. So our clutch is on. Next up are shifters. Great. what you don't want to do. Got the magnets together. We're going to go out of order, I think, just a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and put the hub on. That way it's sitting up and I can work underneath it a little bit better. So here's my hub. I've already got it pre-assembled just because I needed a longer extension, so I've 3D printed a 50mm extension in between. Swapped out the semi-cube bolts to go through there from the normal like 15mm options that would screw normally into your metal hub, and I now have 70mm M5 bolts. They also show that you should thread them through the top and down into the threaded part of the hub, but the enclosure is threaded, so I did not want to, and I don't have any more captive type screws that have a kind of released shoulder on them to let it free up through these and then screw into the next item. So, and to make it easier to ever modify or change or update, I'm going to flip this piece around to where I have no threads in this, and then I'm going to thread it from the front side in, or from the outside of the wheel in. Just loosely putting them in there for now until I get all in there. Just makes it easier. Now if I ever need to change this, change the spacers, change the anything out, retighten, make sure it's still snug, I don't have to open up the wheel now to get into these bolts to check that. Just makes it a little easier. Oh. Now we have a insanely tall extension and QR and all that stuff, and no bolts now coming through, no bolt heads on the inside. Again, just makes it easier. These are the hypercar shifter options from them. So before I actually got it and paid super close attention, I ordered just the hypercar ones because it's what I've had on other ones. I think the GT shifter is definitely the better option on these. So I definitely recommend getting the GT version. These still work. I did a test fit just to acclimate myself with this build a few days ago, and did kind of notice that I ended up putting the shifters, only 2 of the 4 bolts into the shifters, just because it was a little bit of a reach to actually get to the shifters with this option. I think the GT ones sit up a little nicer and a little closer to the towards the grip, so I think that would definitely be the right choice if you have not made a selection yet. Leave these loose as well till you get them all lined up and all in there. Did get the 2 sets, so I have 4 shifters on it, plus the dual clutch paddles. Again, make sure to orient them correctly. It might truly be easier to actually mount the shifters before you would put the encoders in. It's a little close. Depending on how you've got them situated, but I think there's one screw where the wires are really close, so it makes it a tough access point. Here we go. Shifters are in. Go ahead and put the, make sure not to pinch any wires on the housing as it's set face down here. We've got our shift paddles. This is where I think the GT shifter option, since they have GT and hypercar options, I think the GT would be much better. It sits a little bit higher, sits a little further over from what I can tell in the pictures. All right. There we go. The rat's nest. Flip that over for just a second. So next up is installing the Vocor screen onto the PCB. I already did that just because I did a test install the other night, so I wanted to make sure everything was working, and I did not feel like taking that back apart. All you do, usually get a sheet, some 3M adhesive, looks like this. Put it down. There is a rectangle already printed on the board that shows you the placement of this. Just put that in there, then take the adhesive backing on and hopefully get the screen straight. So now that we're gonna get ready to install. So on the back, it has you glue or just double side tape the little connector, USB-C connector that we're going to plug in. As you glue that down to the back of the screen after you get it through here. It says to hot glue. I just used a little small piece of double-sided tape. So here's the cable, USB-C to JST, that will go in for the display. So you plug the USB-C into the back of the Vocor screen. And then there is a connector right here that says Vocor. So that's where we're going to plug this 4-pin item into. That's tabs, so it only should fit one direction. Like that. The next fun is trying to sort out the all the wiring. So it's these top 4 are going to get our rotary encoders, or the thumb wheel encoders, and then we will have our, which I totally forgot to do, so we need to do that first, is the USB for our coiled cable. Totally forgot to put this in, which it's still fine. We're still there. I chose to go, and like the last video I made, I don't know if I say it right, but Waipu connector. So a little bit different than like your GX style. So all you do here is you line up the red dots and it just clicks in. Makes it nice. slot for that does have a flat edge, so make sure to line that up. Don't force it in there. Okay, so like I was saying, then our USB in, so that's for our coiled cable, the connector I just plugged in. We'll go here. We'll have shifters in the 4 2-pins, and then the bottom one here is for the clutches. Trying to get it where you can see, I can see. Trying to just coil these up just a little bit, just to hopefully make it a little easier when I actually go to set this down, and try my best to not pinch any wires. Always the worst part of all of it. It technically has, so it says it should be top right in the furthest to the this one, and then it has mid right, then it has mid left. I wouldn't think that it matters, but so yeah, there we go. Now the terrible part of usually every single one of the builds is putting all of this down and not pinching any wires. you do get everything lined up, it'll be 10M3x6. Make sure that's these. Again, just going loosely for now until I get all of them in. Looks like you leave the top two corners loose. I believe that will eventually go through the front panel. Of course, missed one. There's a slight pinch right there, so fix that now. So easy to get something pinched. Totally fine if this takes the longest part of the entire build. Just don't pinch stuff. I've been there, done that. Had to pull everything back apart, fix a wire, and put it all back together. As you're snugging them down, if you ever feel the resistance or you feel a slight mush, definitely stop again, loosen them up, check everything again. All right. Here's our board. Screen. I still have the screen protector on, so I need to remember to take that off in a moment. Next up, we are actually going to the grips front plate, all carbon. Grips are super nice. I can't wait to actually try them out. They feel a lot closer to the F499 wheel than they do the Hype R. The Hype Rs are ridiculously thin. Probably one of my biggest cons with that whole wheel is the grip size. We'll also be putting on now the button guides, the button plates. And those get 4 M3 by 10s. Two in each of them. So the slight cutouts, you can see up through here where they sit in, and then they will bolt through the back. There's 2 holes. Same thing on the other side. Okay, button plates are on. Next up is standoffs. So there is 7 M5 by 20. And some countersunk screws. So from the top now, there'll be some countersunk holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's where we're going to put these. Started by hand first, just because that's easier. There's another opportunity for pretty easy pinch points when these go to be installed, just because they have to go through the PCB down through the inside of the housing, and if there's any wires in that area, you have to make sure you're not smashing them. Those are 8mm standoffs if you need to hold them while you just snug them up. Most of these bolts from the front are now going to be covered by glass and or a decal. So it's best to have them snug now. If not, you got to pull the glass part off. That's no fun. So next up, we've got the decal for the 4 rotary encoders that's on the faceplate. Adhesive backed, so we'll just be pulling that off. It doesn't have too much to be not lined up. Plenty of holes and other options that are there. There we go. Stuck to it. Next up, I did get the funky plate option. So I now have the funky plate. And that gets held together by M4 by 10s. And then on the back side, there is a M3 or M4 nut. Trusty hemostats just to hold them while I snug them up. Here's the funky plate. Looks like from the back. So you got the three nuts. Next up, we got the glass. So it looks terrible, but I still have the protective film on the outside of it. Got adhesive back on the underneath side of it, which we will use that to then stick it down into the kind of recessed area that it's supposed to be in. Again, make sure those bolts are tight because now this is stuck in. a little bit of a pain to get out of there, and if you have to retape it, then kind of on your own, and hopefully you got the appropriate tape. There we go, glass is in, leaving that protective stuff on it. Next up is the 3D printed light guide. It's got adhesive backed stuff on it, which it did not come with that. I ended up putting that on there. So probably overkill to do the whole thing, but hey, why not? So that's going to go down in this area. It has a, probably tough to tell, but it's got a small tab where it can only orient one direction here. Should be able to line it up with the other holes and things that you'll see on the panel. But all that is just to help the spacing between the board and the lights, where the lights are supposed to shine through, just to help direct it a little bit better. That's in. Go. Again, so now we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Fortunately, these middle ones don't have much. That's just for the nuts of the funky plate to kind of sit through. But you have to make sure in these top 3 and then these 4 down here, make sure that there are no wires in the way. If so, kind of push through, make sure you can see down through there. No wires are going to get pinched. All those standoffs are getting ready to go through there. Alright, feels okay. The only one I need to really watch for, it looks like, is this. Now is also the time that we should remove our protective film. And from the back side, we'll have the bolts go in. This is where to make sure you see all of them nice and flush. Sorry, hit my mic. But see all of them. The silver standoff should shine pretty brightly through the black aluminum enclosure. Make sure all that's lining up. Then we're going to go back and use the 7 M5 by 12s. Screen's better to actually see some of this. Again, no need to snug these all the way up yet until you get all 7 of them in there and lining up. Okay. All in there. Oh man, I'm an idiot. You all knew that. Yep, I put definitely forgot to put button caps on these guys. I don't see where they're at. Well, good news is the test build picture that I did definitely had them on it. So maybe, just maybe, I forgot to bring them in from the shop side. Give me just a second. Found them. All right. Not terrible. We can fix that. Just get to take the 7 standoffs back out. Slight delay. Thought I was doing brilliant work and setting everything out last night, so I didn't have to mess with it today. All right. Try this again. So all 12 buttons. We'll get button caps. Tough to see. There is a couple tabs on them. Definitely tough to see. There's a couple tabs on them. They do line up with the tabs then on the buttons themselves. Double check to make sure our openings are still open. All right. Looks a whole lot better. Let's get back down to where we actually should have been. So now we are putting the two M3 by 14 countersunk screws into the top corners. Check. Okay, now I got a couple different style knobs. Got these for the thumb wheels, and then got these for the rotaries. And to stay in alignment with all my other wheels that I have built and or purchased, we just went blackout. Next up is the center funky knob. There we go. And we have the 4 side knobs. Which I had not yet put in the set screws. Which they are very little. Just to be able to grab that. There we go. Trying to orient them to where I can actually get to the set screw. Kind of recessed in there pretty good. Be curious once you get a glove on how easily rotatable that is, especially down. Not bad. One more to go. There we go. I believe that has completed the assembly. Now let's see if all that works or not. Let's see here. I go to this and bring up Sim Hub. Again, line up on the connector, line up the two red dots. There we go. I believe we are in working control here. Nice. It's going to be good. Just another shot of the back. All right, well that will do it for the GTE Pro V3 build. Pretty uneventful, other than I forgot the button caps and the initial first time through, but that's an easy fix. And did a couple things just a little bit differently that I would. Again, the main thing being I reversed their initial hub their 50 millimeter thing because I wanted to put my 50 millimeter extension just from the way my wheelbase is. I need about 145 to 150 millimeters from the back of the wheel to the start of the SC2 QR. So, and then bolted them from the outside into it versus from the inside of the enclosure through, just for ease of maintenance and updates and anything else I feel like doing. It's just one less thing that you have to break apart the whole thing for, just to make sure those are tight. Yep. Thanks again for watching. Appreciate it. And see you next time.